In a faraway galaxy, the hidden kingdom of Zephoria lay nestled between two shimmering nebulae. This kingdom was unlike any other place in the universe. Its vast meadows, sparkling streams, and graceful, ancient trees gave the land a magical glow under the light of two gentle suns. In Zephoria, every day was filled with soft breezes, the rustle of leaves, and the quiet hum of life. At the heart of Zephoria lived a young alien princess named Ella. Though born into a royal family renowned for their strength and wisdom, Ella was different. From the very beginning, she had a quiet and thoughtful nature. While her elders expected boldness and loud declarations of courage, Ella preferred to explore the beauty and secrets of her world in silence. She often wandered the palace gardens, where the flowers seemed to sing in soft whispers and the streams reflected the calm sky. Ella's days were filled with wonder and learning. In the great palace library, she spent many hours reading old scrolls and books that told the history of Zephoria. These stories spoke of past heroes, mighty deeds, and brave quests. However, Ella's interest was not in loud battles or forceful actions. Instead, she was drawn to the tales of love, unity, and the gentle strength that brought people together. She believed that true power came from kindness and understanding rather than from displays of force. Even though Ella was a princess, many in the kingdom overlooked her. They expected a royal figure to be strong in the traditional sense, bold, loud, and ready for challenges that involved great risk. But Ella's strength was of another kind. It was a quiet resolve and a deep care for all living things. Her heart was full of empathy for the common folk of Zephoria, and she took pleasure in small acts of kindness. Whether it was helping the palace gardeners or listening to the stories of old citizens, Ella always gave her full attention to those around her. The people of Zephoria lived by long-held traditions. The elders taught that a leader must be strong, decisive, and sometimes harsh in order to protect the kingdom. They believed that a firm hand was needed to keep order and ensure success. Yet, as the princess strolled through the corridors of her home, she wondered if there was another way, a way that relied on gentle words, careful thought, and compassion to bring people together. Even if others did not notice it at first, Ella felt that this gentle approach could change the kingdom for the better. One calm morning, as the soft light of the twin suns filled the palace gardens, Ella discovered a small ancient book hidden under a blooming tree. Its cover was worn and its pages were delicate, but the words inside shone with a warm and inviting light. The book told the stories of Zephoria's early days, a time when the kingdom was built on values of love, unity, and mutual respect. As Ella read these stories, she felt a deep connection to the past. She realized that her gentle spirit was not a weakness, but a link to the true roots of her people. This discovery filled Ella with hope. She began to imagine a future where the strength of Zephoria was measured not by loud acts of bravery, but by the quiet determination to care for one another. In her mind, every small act of kindness could become a building block for a new kind of strength. She decided that she would keep the ancient book safe, knowing that one day its lessons might help guide her people through difficult times. As the day turned into evening, the palace was bathed in soft golden light. Ella sat on a stone bench near a gentle fountain, the book open in her lap. In that peaceful moment, she made a silent promise to herself. She would learn all that she could from the book and from the world around her. Even if others continued to overlook her for her quiet ways, she knew that her unique strength would shine through when the time was right. In the hidden kingdom of Zephoria, where ancient traditions often blocked new ideas, Ella's gentle spirit was like a small but bright star. The people may not have seen her true worth yet, but every day, her actions slowly began to hint at the promise of change. Her careful observations, kind gestures, and quiet courage planted seeds in the hearts of those who had the chance to notice. Even in a place that valued bold actions, the soft glow of Ella's kindness showed that there was another way, a way where unity and understanding could lead the kingdom to a brighter future. Thus, in the gentle light of the twin suns, the little princess walked her quiet path. Though she was often overlooked, Ella carried with her a deep hope and a secret strength that would one day change the fate of Zephoria. Her story was only just beginning, and the promise of a kinder, more united kingdom lay hidden in her gentle heart family for centuries, shielded from the troubles of the outside universe. The kingdom's isolation had protected them, preserving their traditions and way of life. But beyond their serene borders, the universe was filled with both wonders and dangers, things that the people of Zephoria could hardly imagine. Little did they know that soon, something would come from the distant stars that would change their destiny forever. Captain Isaac Lee was no ordinary human explorer. Though many thought of humans as impulsive and unpredictable, Isaac had proven himself to be a steady and perceptive leader, capable of seeing solutions where others saw only problems. His mission was to explore new worlds and build peaceful relations across the stars, and his journey had brought him to Zephoria. He had heard stories of the kingdom, a peaceful land with advanced technology and natural beauty, and was eager to visit, perhaps even lay the foundation for a new alliance between their people and humanity. Isaac's spaceship landed quietly on a vast plain just outside the royal city. The ship's sleek, polished surface gleamed under the sunlight of Zephoria's twin suns. The air was different here, clean and fresh, like a spring breeze from Earth, but with a unique fragrance all its own. Isaac marveled at the peaceful scene before him, delighted by what he had found. The people of Zephoria had never encountered a human before, so they watched Isaac's arrival from a distance with curiosity. Word quickly spread through the kingdom that an outsider had come, an emissary from a far-off world. As the spaceship doors slowly opened, Ella, the princess, was among the first to come out to meet the human. Despite the excitement surrounding the arrival of the human explorer, Ella did not feel the usual sense of awe that others might have in her position. She remained curious but unbothered, her heart not swayed by the noise and commotion around her. Instead, it was Isaac's calm demeanor that stood out to her. As he stepped forward from his ship, his posture confident but not arrogant, she felt an undeniable sense of connection. Here was a being from another world, yet Ella sensed that something in him echoed the same quiet strength she had always believed in. Isaac, in turn, noticed Ella right away. The princess stood apart from the large crowd gathering, her calmness and grace likened to the quiet beauty of the planet itself. Despite the awe of the people around her and the impressive sight of her royal attire, Isaac saw something more in her. The glimmer in her eyes, the way she looked past the crowds and directly at him, suggested a deeper understanding, a quiet strength he had not yet encountered. "Princess Ella," Isaac greeted, bowing his head slightly in respect. "It's an honor to meet you." Ella smiled, but it was a smile of measured warmth, not the bustling enthusiasm of many of the royal court. "It is also an honor to meet someone from the stars," she replied softly. "I had imagined there would be many shouting voices and grand gestures, but your arrival is different. It seems gentle." Isaac chuckled, feeling an instant connection. "I've always preferred listening to the quiet in things rather than the noise. It tells you much more," he said, his voice steady. Ella looked at him thoughtfully. People in her kingdom were quick to judge loud, forceful actions as signs of leadership, but Isaac's words stirred something deep within her. She had always believed strength wasn't made of noise and power alone. Perhaps this human, having come from so far away, could understand the value of quiet wisdom in a world that often demanded strength above all else. Over the next few days, Isaac spent time with the royal family, learning about the beauty and history of Zephoria. Much to his surprise, Ella was the only one who consistently invited him to explore deeper aspects of the kingdom. Her curiosity mirrored his own, and the quiet conversations they shared became an unexpected pairing. While many of the royal court and others in her land viewed Isaac's time with her as ceremonial at best, they did not understand the deeper connection that was growing between them. To them, she was still the quiet, overlooked princess, fit only for shadowing the grand gestures of leadership, nothing more. However, Isaac could sense it. She radiated intelligence, empathy, and something else, something stronger. He saw beyond the facade of tradition to the quiet force lying within her. One afternoon, as they strolled through the palace gardens, a place where Ella often found peace, Isaac asked, "What do you hope for, Princess Ella? You speak of unity, of understanding. But what does that truly mean to you?" Ella paused. The question was unexpected, but it resonated with something deep inside her. She had often wondered about the future of her world, the future of her people. She had always been told that strength came from loud words and powerful actions, yet she had been drawn to the smaller, quieter gestures that held true meaning. "I hope for a kingdom where kindness is the strength that connects us all," she said gently, her eyes focused on the walking path ahead, "where every individual, no matter how large or how small, is seen for their unique gifts. We've forgotten this in Sephoria, but I believe it isn't too late." Isaac nodded thoughtfully. He had come from a world filled with many cultures and countless beliefs, yet the naivety that sometimes arose in peaceful societies resonated with him. His world had learned many hard lessons, the kind that made compassion and understanding even more important than power. And as he looked at Ella, the gentle princess who still had so much to learn, he felt a hum of excitement. She had a spark, one that could light Sephoria's future if given the chance. At the end of the day, Ella and Isaac parted ways, but the mark of their growing bond was clearer to both of them now. While the kingdom of Sephoria may have overlooked her, Isaac had already seen something more, a potential for change, growth, and above all, a peaceful future. Little did Ella know, the arrival of this human would prove to be the turning point in her life, and perhaps even in the history of the galaxy. For 33 seconds. Part 2. The human arrival. In a distant corner of the universe, a small spacecraft glided silently toward Sephoria. The ship, built with careful human craftsmanship, was designed to explore the unknown with a gentle heart and a curious mind. Inside, Captain Alex, an explorer known for his calm spirit and kind nature, prepared for a journey that would soon change two very different worlds. The spacecraft descended slowly over the soft, dew-covered fields of Sephoria. The twin suns bathed the land in a warm, gentle light as the ship touched down on a smooth clearing. The landing was quiet and respectful, much like the man who had traveled many light years to reach this peaceful planet. Captain Alex stepped out of the ship with measured steps, his eyes full of wonder as he took in the scene before him. The planet was a vision of calm beauty. Green meadows spread out beneath a sky brushed with soft hues of orange and blue, and delicate flowers waved gently in the light breeze. Birds and small creatures moved about with quiet purpose, and every sound in the land seemed to speak of a long-held peace. Captain Alex felt his heart fill with hope as he realized that Sephoria was a place where nature and life existed in quiet harmony. Not far from where the spacecraft had landed, villagers gathered in small groups. They had heard the soft hum of the ship and came out from their homes, curious about the stranger in their midst. Their eyes widened as they saw Captain Alex, a man unlike any they had known. He did not come with loud words or grand displays of power. Instead, he offered a gentle smile and open, welcoming eyes that spoke of friendship. Captain Alex began his exploration by walking slowly through the nearby village. He greeted the villagers in simple, clear language, and his kind tone helped ease their initial worries. He listened as they spoke of their daily lives and the small wonders of Sephoria. In return, he shared stories of his own home, a planet where people also believed in peace, friendship, and the power of gentle understanding. His words were soft and honest, and they resonated with the villagers who had long dreamed of a world filled with respect and kindness. At the same time, hidden behind a cluster of graceful trees, Princess Ella observed the scene with quiet curiosity. She had seen many visitors in her young life, but none had shown the gentle manner of this human explorer. Although she had always felt different from the bold heroes of old, Ella sensed that Captain Alex's presence was a sign of a new beginning. His respectful manner and calm demeanor were like a cool breeze on a warm day, inviting and refreshing. As the day progressed, Captain Alex ventured further into the heart of the village. He discovered a small square where families gathered and elders sat under the shade of ancient trees. The explorer took his time to speak with everyone, asking about their traditions, their dreams, and the history of their land. He carefully noted how the people valued small acts of kindness and shared their hopes for a peaceful future. To him, Scifi was a place where true strength was found not in loud actions, but in the quiet determination to care for one another. When the morning turned to afternoon, Captain Alex decided to visit a nearby garden known for its rare and beautiful plants. As he strolled along the garden path, he marveled at the colors and shapes of the flowers. The soft murmur of a small stream provided a soothing background, and every sound seemed to echo the gentle spirit of the land. It was in this serene setting that Captain Alex felt most at home, surrounded by life that flourished without the need for force or aggression. Meanwhile, Princess Ella gathered her courage and stepped out from her hiding place among the trees. With a heart full of quiet determination, she approached the explorer. Her presence was graceful and shy, and her eyes shone with the hope of someone who believed in a better future. Captain Alex greeted her with the same gentle smile he had shared with the villagers. In that moment, a silent understanding passed between them, a promise of friendship and the chance to learn from one another. They began to talk as they walked slowly together through the village. Ella spoke softly of her people, their traditions, and her secret dreams for a kinder, more united Scifi. Captain Alex listened carefully, nodding in understanding. He shared his own ideas of exploration, not as a means to conquer, but to connect and help build bridges between different worlds. Their conversation was simple, sincere, and full of promise. As the twin suns dipped lower in the sky, casting long, gentle shadows over the land, the new friends realized that this meeting was not a chance encounter, but the beginning of something important. The human explorer and the little alien princess were both on a path to discover that true strength lies in compassion and understanding. Their shared journey would soon sow the seeds of change, promising a future where differences brought people together rather than pushed them apart. In the soft glow of the evening, with the land of Scifi alive with quiet wonder, the human arrival marked the start of a new era, a time when friendship and respect would light the way toward a brighter tomorrow village of Scifi, their steps light and their hearts full of curiosity. The gentle hum of the evening breeze, the soft rustle of tree branches above them, and the sounds of distant laughter from the villagers created a peaceful backdrop as they spoke. There was an unspoken understanding between them, a blossoming bond built on shared quiet strength and a desire for change. Ella had always felt different from those around her. While others in her royal family valued power through strength, she longed for a world that embraced gentler qualities, understanding, empathy, and unity. Captain Alex, with his calm demeanor, taught her that these qualities were not only worthy but could lead to far greater victories than brute force ever could. She had never met anyone like him before, someone who saw value in what many others overlooked. As they explored the village that afternoon, Captain Alex shared stories from his travels. He spoke of other worlds, other species, and how each culture had its own strengths and challenges. What struck Ella most about these tales was Alex's belief that the key to success for any society did not lie in dominance, but in cooperation. She had often wondered if she could help her own people see this truth. Maybe with his guidance, her vision for a harmonious realm could come to life. When they stopped by a small clearing, the princess turned to Alex, her heart racing. It was as if the quiet strength she had always carried inside her was finally calling out, asking for a chance. She felt an overwhelming sense of hope that maybe, just maybe, she could become the leader her people needed. But not in the way they expected, not with force, but with kindness and compassion. Captain Alex, she began softly, her voice trembling just a little. I have always wanted to make a difference here on Scifi. But my people, they can't see things the way I do. They don't understand that strength comes from kindness and unity, not just from defeating others. Do you think it's possible to change their minds, to help them see a new way? Captain Alex paused, considering her question. The warm sunset cast long shadows on the ground, painting a serene picture in front of them. He turned back to her, his eyes thoughtful yet encouraging. "I believe it is possible, Princess," he said, his voice steady. "True strength lies in open hearts, not closed fists. If you lead with compassion, others will follow your example. It might take time, but it's a journey worth taking." He placed a hand on his chest, showing her the sincerity that lay within him. "And I'll be here with you, every step of the way." Ella put a gentle hand over her heart. His words, like soft feathers, settled deep within her. She felt something stir inside her, a powerful sense of purpose that she had never known before. With Alex's words, she felt the weight of royal duty no longer felt like a burden, but a calling she might be able to answer in her own quiet way. That evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, and the sky turned a soft shade of lavender, the two of them sat on the grass by the village's center, taking time to reflect. Alex had offered his help, a gift she hadn't expected, but was now grateful for. She was not alone. "I've always been told that leaders must be strong," Ella said, her voice barely above a whisper. As she surveyed the peaceful scene around them, she spoke with the quiet authority of someone who had finally come to believe in their own potential. "And I've always believed that true strength isn't in what you can destroy," she continued, "but in what you can build." Captain Alex smiled. For the first time, Ella saw how his words reflected her vision. "That's exactly it, Princess. True strength is about building bridges, not walls. Together, we can find a way to help your people see that." Ella smiled back, her heart feeling lighter than it ever had before. In that moment, she knew that her life was about to change, and not just hers. She felt a deep sense of gratitude, to Alex, to herself, and to Zephoria. Whatever the future held, she was no longer alone in her journey. As the moon rose high above the kingdom, casting a soft silver glow over the land, Ella and Alex continued to talk. They shared dreams, hopes for the future, and their thoughts on how they might bring about the change that Zephoria so desperately needed. It was clear now that their paths were entwined, linked by a common goal. A goal not of war or dominance, but of unity. From that moment on, the human and the princess, though from worlds so different, had become a team. They both believed in the quiet, lasting power of kindness, and they were ready to share that belief with the people of Zephoria. Ella was more determined than ever to embrace the quiet strength inside her, the strength that came from an open heart. In the coming days, they would make decisions together, choices that would shape Zephoria's future. And although their journey would be filled with challenges, Ella no longer feared the weight of leadership. With Alex by her side, she knew that there was no challenge they couldn't face together. With this newfound bond, Ella felt a slow, steady warmth building in her chest, one that would light the way for the changes to come. It was a bond that had been formed not by force, but by mutual respect, understanding, and the desire to make the world a little kinder. The princess was no longer just an overlooked young royal. She was now a leader in the making, with the human explorer by her side. The two of them a symbol of hope for Zephoria's future, and together they would set forth on a journey neither of them had ever expected, but one that would change their world forever. For 25 seconds. Part 3. The Choice and Bond. After the quiet meeting in the village square, Captain Alex felt a strong pull to help the gentle Princess Ella grow into her full potential. He saw in her a light that many had missed, a quiet strength that could bring a new kind of hope to Zephoria. Over the next several days, he made a firm choice in his heart. He would become her mentor, sharing his own experiences and guiding her toward a future where her kind nature would be seen as true strength. Every morning, as the soft rays of the twin suns painted the sky with warm hues, Captain Alex found Ella waiting by the sparkling stream near the palace gardens. They would begin their day with a slow, thoughtful walk along the dew-covered paths. With each step, The explorer would share simple lessons from his travels on distant worlds. He spoke in clear, gentle language, telling stories of lands where differences were celebrated and challenges were met with compassion and cooperation. Ella listened carefully, her eyes wide with curiosity and a growing sense of determination. During these walks, Captain Alex would point out small wonders of nature, a bright flower emerging through the soft earth, a bird gliding gracefully overhead, or the delicate dance of sunlight on a quiet lake. He explained how each of these moments was a reminder that strength often comes in gentle forms. Ella began to see that bravery was not only found in loud deeds or bold actions, but also in the simple act of caring for others and the world around her. Her heart opened a little more with every lesson. In return, Ella began to share her own simple stories of Xephoria. She spoke of ancient traditions passed down from her ancestors, tales of a time when the kingdom was small and every person played an important part in the community. In these stories, kindness and understanding were the cornerstones of a peaceful society. Although her words were soft, they carried the weight of history and the promise of a better future. Captain Alex was touched by her sincerity and by the deep love she held for her people and her land. One clear afternoon, as they rested under the shade of an old wise tree, Captain Alex looked at Ella with gentle determination. "Ella," he said in a calm and steady voice, "I see in you a strength that many have not yet recognized. I choose to stand by your side and help you learn all that I know. I believe that you can guide your people toward a future where care, respect, and understanding are the true marks of leadership." His words, simple and honest, filled the quiet space between them. In that moment, Ella felt a warmth spread through her, as if his belief in her lit a small but bright flame within her heart. From that day on, their bond grew even stronger. Captain Alex set aside time each day to teach Ella practical skills and gentle wisdom. Together, they would sit by the stream, watching the water flow smoothly over rounded stones, and talk about the importance of listening to both nature and people. He taught her that every problem, no matter how small, was an opportunity to learn and to make a difference. Each lesson was simple and clear, using words that were easy to understand yet filled with deep meaning. Ella quickly began to show signs of change. She learned how to observe the small details of life, the way a bud slowly opened to reveal its inner beauty, the quiet strength of an old tree standing firm against the wind, and the resilience of a stream that found a way around obstacles. With every lesson, she grew more confident in her own way of thinking. The princess began to realize that her quiet nature was not something to hide, but a gift that allowed her to see the world with gentle insight. The people of Xephoria began to notice the change too. They saw the princess walking among them with a new grace and a thoughtful smile. Even those who had once overlooked her were now drawn to her calm presence and the fresh ideas she began to share. Whispers of hope spread through the village as the simple yet powerful bond between the human explorer and the princess became a symbol of a brighter future. In time, the lessons from Captain Alex and the growing confidence in Princess Ella wove a strong thread through the fabric of Xephorian life. Her new understanding of strength, one built on kindness, careful thought, and mutual respect, started to soften the old ways. The gentle mentor and his eager student showed that change did not always come with loud proclamations or forceful actions. Instead, it could bloom quietly, like the first flower of spring pushing its way through the cold earth. As the twin suns began their slow descent into the horizon, casting long, warm shadows over the land, Ella and Captain Alex sat together, reflecting on the day's lessons. Their simple conversations, filled with honest words and shared dreams, built a bond that promised lasting change. In that peaceful moment, they both understood that true leadership and strength came from the heart, a lesson that would soon change Xephoria for the better. In the calm of the evening, with the soft glow of the suns lighting the sky, the human explorer and the little princess celebrated their growing bond. Their shared journey was just beginning, and with each gentle step they took together, a new future for Xephoria unfolded. a future where quiet wisdom and kind hearts would lead the way. As the twin suns rose over Zephoria, a new day brought with it a series of challenges that would test Princess Ella's gentle spirit and growing strength. Captain Alex had planned a series of trials not to break her, but to help her learn about the power of observation, wisdom, and careful action. Today, every step would teach her that strength is found in understanding, patience, and quiet determination. The first trial began early in the soft light of morning. Captain Alex led Ella to a maze of winding stone paths set within an ancient grove. The stones, worn smooth by time, formed a labyrinth that required more than physical agility. It demanded clear thinking. "This maze is not meant to trap you," Captain Alex explained in a calm voice, "but to show you how to trust your instincts and take small, sure steps forward." Ella stepped onto the first stone with a mix of caution and curiosity. As she moved slowly through the maze, she began to notice the patterns in the path. Each turn seemed to hide a clue. A mark on a stone here, a soft whisper of wind there. With every careful step, she grew more confident, slowly learning that every challenge was an opportunity to see things in a new way. When she finally emerged from the maze, her heart was filled with a quiet joy. She had learned that careful thought could guide her through uncertainty. The next trial took them to the ruins of an old temple on the edge of the kingdom. The temple walls were covered with ancient inscriptions and faded symbols. Captain Alex told Ella that these writings held secrets of Zephoria's past, lessons left by those who had built the kingdom long ago. "To understand your people," he said softly, "you must learn from the wisdom of those who came before." Inside the cool, shadowed hall, Ella ran her fingers over the carvings. At first, the symbols seemed like a jumble of lines and shapes, but as she studied them, she began to see patterns and meanings. She deciphered small messages about unity, respect, and the beauty of a kind heart. Each inscription felt like a whisper from history, urging her to carry forward the legacy of peaceful strength. With each discovery, Ella felt more connected to her people and more sure that her gentle ways were a source of true power. After the quiet lessons of the temple, Captain Alex led Ella to a small, bubbling stream that cut across a grassy field. The final trial of the day was to cross the stream using only a series of natural stepping stones hidden beneath soft, green moss. The stones were scattered and uneven, and the water moved with a calm but steady current. "This trial is about balance and trust," the explorer said, his eyes kind and encouraging. "You must step carefully, listening to the rhythm of nature." Ella took a deep breath and stepped onto the first stone. The cool water splashed gently around her feet as she tested each step with care. With every move, she felt the cool rush of the stream and the soft embrace of the earth beneath her. There were moments when the current tugged at her, and she almost lost her balance. But remembering the lessons from the maze and the temple, she steadied herself and found a careful rhythm. When she finally reached the other side, she looked back at the gentle flow of water and smiled, understanding that every challenge was a teacher in its own way. Throughout the day, as Ella faced each trial, Captain Alex watched with quiet pride. He had chosen these tasks to show her that challenges were not battles to be fought with force, but puzzles to be solved with the heart and mind. In each trial, she learned a new lesson about life. The maze taught her that even when the path is unclear, careful steps lead to progress. The ancient temple reminded her that wisdom from the past can light the way for the future, and the crossing of the stream showed her that balance and trust in oneself are key to overcoming obstacles. During a quiet moment of rest under a wide leafy tree, Captain Alex sat beside Ella and spoke softly. "Every trial you face is a step on your journey. You are learning to see the beauty in challenges, and that is a strength many overlook. Your gentle nature is a gift that will guide you and your people to a future built on understanding and care." Ella listened intently, her eyes reflecting both the light of the setting suns and the inner glow of newfound confidence. "I now see that each challenge teaches me something important," she replied in a clear, simple voice. "I must learn to trust my heart and mind, even when the way is hard. I feel stronger and more sure of myself with every step. As the day turned to dusk, the gentle light of the twin suns faded into a soft twilight. Ella and Captain Alex sat together near a small, crackling fire outside the ruins of the temple. The fire's warm glow danced on their faces, and the peaceful sounds of the night wrapped around them like a comforting blanket. They spoke about the lessons of the day, and Ella's words were filled with gratitude and quiet determination. The trials of the day had not only tested her skills, but had also deepened the bond between her and her mentor. In those moments of challenge and calm, Ella discovered that true strength was not about loud displays or quick victories. It was about learning, growing, and moving forward with a heart full of care and a mind open to the lessons of life. As the first stars appeared in the sky, she felt a strong sense of purpose and a promise of a brighter future for her kingdom. Thus, as night settled over Zephoria, the gentle mentor and the thoughtful princess embraced the lessons of the day. Their journey was far from over, but with every trial and every step, Ella grew into the leader her people needed, a leader defined by kindness, wisdom, and quiet strength. The gentle days of learning and growth passed quickly, and Princess Ella's confidence grew stronger with each lesson. She was no longer the quiet, overlooked royal that others dismissed. She had begun to see her own worth, and with Captain Alex's guidance, she felt ready to bring positive change to Zephoria. But just as Ella's light was beginning to shine, a dark cloud formed over the peaceful land. Trouble was approaching, a threat that had long been hidden in the shadows, but now stood on the edge of the kingdom, ready to strike. One evening, as Ella and Captain Alex sat near the quiet stream discussing their next steps, a royal messenger arrived in haste. His breathing was heavy, and his usually calm face was full of worry. "Your Highness," he said, bowing deeply, "there is disturbing news from the outer villages. A group of warriors from a distant land has been spotted near our borders. They move with heavy weapons, and their numbers are growing. The elders fear they may soon enter Zephoria." Ella's heart tightened, but she did not let fear show on her face. Instead, she looked at Captain Alex, searching for his advice. His expression remained calm, though his mind was already working through the possibilities. "Warriors who come with force usually expect resistance," Captain Alex said thoughtfully. "If we prepare wisely, we can avoid conflict and find another way." Ella nodded. She did not want violence in her kingdom. The old ways of Zephoria spoke of fighting enemies with swords and power, but she had begun to believe in a different path, one where understanding and careful action could lead to victory without destruction. That night, she called a meeting with the Council of Elders. The Grand Hall, usually a place of quiet discussion, was now filled with tense voices. Some elders insisted that war was the only answer. "We must raise our warriors and defend our land with strength," an elder with a heavy voice declared. Others remained silent, uncertain of what to do. Ella listened carefully. She understood their fear, but she also saw something they did not. There was still time to act before war became the only choice. She stood before them, her voice steady but firm. "War should never be our first path," she said. "Let us learn about these outsiders before we make any decisions. Perhaps they do not come as enemies. We must find the truth before we raise our weapons." The room fell silent. Many had not expected the princess, once so quiet and overlooked, to take such a strong stance. But there was wisdom in her words, and some of the elders began to nod in agreement. Captain Alex then stepped forward. "We need information," he said. "Before we act, let me go and see these warriors with my own eyes. I can learn their purpose and see if there is a way to prevent war." Ella knew it was risky, but she trusted him. "I will go with you," she declared. "This is my kingdom, and I must understand the challenge we face." The next morning, before the suns had fully risen, Ella and Captain Alex set out toward the outer villages. They traveled in simple robes, not as rulers, but as observers. The journey took them through fields of golden grass and narrow forest paths. Along the way, Villagers whispered about the approaching warriors, their words filled with fear and uncertainty. As they neared the border, they saw them, tall figures covered in dark armor, moving in a disciplined line. Their weapons gleamed under the sunlight, but their eyes held no rage. Instead, they looked tired, worn from their long journey. Ella watched carefully, her heart beating faster. These were not conquerors driven by greed or destruction. They looked like people searching for something. Hope, shelter, a place to belong. Captain Alex studied them as well, noting the lack of aggression in their movements. "They don't seem like an invading force," he whispered. "I think they might be refugees." Ella took a deep breath. She had a choice to make. She could allow fear to rule her actions, like the elders who believed in war, or she could trust what she saw, what she felt, and take a different approach. Stepping forward, she raised a hand, not in challenge, but in greeting. Her voice was clear and steady. "Who are you?" she called out. "Why have you come to Zephoria?" The leader of the warriors stepped forward. He was older than the rest, his face lined with exhaustion. "We are survivors," he said, his voice rough but honest. "Our home was destroyed by a great disaster. We have traveled far, searching for a place to rest. We do not seek war, we seek mercy." Ella turned to Captain Alex, who gave her an approving nod. This was the moment that would define her leadership. She had the power to make a choice that would shape Zephoria's future. She took a deep breath and faced the weary travelers. "Zephoria is a land of peace," she said. "If you do not seek harm, we will not turn you away. But you must abide by our ways, by kindness, respect, and unity." A hush fell over the warriors. The leader's tired eyes softened, and slowly he lowered his weapon. One by one, the others followed. Ella had chosen understanding over fear, and with that choice, she had changed the fate of her people. As they made their way back to the palace, Captain Alex looked at her with quiet pride. "You have done what many leaders fail to do," he said. "You saw beyond the surface. You saw the truth." Ella smiled, but she knew this was only the beginning. There would still be challenges ahead, but for now, she had taken the first step toward a better future. And as the twin suns set behind the mountains, painting the sky in soft gold and violet, Ella realized something important. She was no longer just a quiet princess. She was a leader, a true leader, guided by wisdom, compassion, and a heart filled with hope. The sun rose gently over Zephoria, painting the sky with soft golden light. In the heart of the kingdom, the air was filled with whispers of the princess's decision. Some called her wise, while others feared that allowing the outsiders to stay would bring danger. Ella knew that trust was fragile, but she believed in her choice. She had seen the truth in the eyes of the weary travelers. These were not warriors seeking conquest, but people searching for a home. But not everyone agreed. Deep within the palace, a group of elders gathered in secret. They were not convinced that Ella's decision was right. To them, strength meant power, and power meant controlling outsiders, not welcoming them. "The princess is young," one of them murmured. "She does not see the risks. What if these strangers are hiding their true intentions?" Another elder nodded. "We must take action before it is too late." Word of their distrust soon reached Ella. Instead of anger, she felt sadness. She had hoped that her people would see the path of peace as clearly as she did. But fear was a powerful force, and many were not yet ready to trust. Captain Alex stood beside her, his calm presence reassuring. "Change is difficult," he said gently. "People fear what they do not understand. But you have shown wisdom, Ella. Now you must prove that your path is the right one." Ella nodded. "Then I will not run from this challenge," she said. "If they doubt me, I will give them proof." She called for a gathering in the great courtyard of the palace. The people of Zephoria arrived in large numbers, their eyes filled with curiosity and uncertainty. The outsiders stood together in silence, waiting to see what would happen next. The elders watched with careful eyes, their arms crossed, as Ella stepped forward. She spoke with clarity and confidence, her voice reaching every corner of the courtyard. "My people, I know that fear has filled your hearts. You have been taught that strength comes from power, from keeping outsiders away. But today, I ask you, what is true strength?" She let the question hang in the air for a moment before continuing. "Is it raising weapons at those who have already suffered, or is it having the courage to offer a hand of peace?" She turned toward the leader of the outsiders, a tired man with kind eyes. "They are not our enemies. They are survivors, just like we would be if our home was taken from us." Murmurs spread through the crowd. Some nodded, others remained silent, but the elders stood firm. One of them, a tall and serious-looking man named Elder Vorin, stepped forward. "Princess, you speak well," he admitted, "but words alone are not enough. If you truly believe in your choice, then let these outsiders prove themselves." Ella met his gaze without hesitation. "How?" she asked. Elder Vorin thought for a moment, then said, "Let them face a challenge, one that proves their intentions. If they succeed, they may stay. If they fail, they must leave." Captain Alex frowned slightly. "What kind of challenge?" Vorin gestured toward a dry river just outside the palace walls. "For years, this land has suffered from a lack of water. The old river once provided life to our fields, but now it is nothing but dust. If these outsiders wish to live among us, let them do what no warrior can: bring back the river." Ella turned toward the travelers. Their leader, a man named Halen, nodded solemnly. "We accept this challenge," he said, "but not alone. If we are to be part of Xiphoria, then we must work together with its people." Ella smiled. "Then together, we shall restore the river." For days, Xiphorians and outsiders worked side by side, digging channels, clearing rocks, and guiding the flow of water from distant underground springs. It was not easy, but with each passing moment, something incredible happened. The people began to talk, to laugh, to understand each other. The walls of fear began to crumble. Captain Alex used his knowledge of engineering to guide the workers, while Ella walked among them, encouraging them, showing them that strength was in unity. She saw a young Xiphorian child handing a bucket of water to an outsider, an elder giving advice to a foreign craftsman, hands of different origins working together toward a common goal. Then, on the seventh day, the earth trembled with life. A deep rumbling sound echoed through the valley as water burst forth, flowing once again through the dry riverbed. Cheers erupted from both Xiphorians and outsiders alike. The river had returned. Elder Vorin stood in silent awe. He turned to Ella, his expression unreadable. Finally, he bowed his head slightly. "You have proven something today, Princess," he said. "Strength is not in pushing others away. It is in bringing people together." Ella smiled, but she knew this was not just her victory. It was a victory for all of Xiphoria, a moment that would be remembered for generations. As the river flowed once more and the people celebrated together, Captain Alex placed a gentle hand on Ella's shoulder. "You have done what many rulers fail to do," he said. "You didn't just lead, you united." Ella looked at her people, no longer divided, no longer afraid. "This is just the beginning," she said. "But together, we will build a future where kindness is our greatest strength." And as the water shimmered under the golden light of the twin suns, Ella knew that Xiphoria would never be the same again. It was no longer a land of division, but a kingdom where even the smallest voice could bring great change. The river flowed once again, bringing life back to the dry land of Xiphoria. Its gentle waters sparkled under the warm glow of the twin suns, a symbol of unity and hope. For the first time in many years, both Xiphorians and the outsiders stood together, not as strangers, but as one people. Princess Ella walked along the riverbank, watching as children splashed in the shallow waters and farmers collected fresh water for their crops. Laughter and voices filled the air, and the weight of fear that once clouded the kingdom had begun to lift. It was a new beginning, one that had been built on trust, patience, and understanding. Captain Alex stood beside her, his hands resting on his belt as he observed the scene with quiet satisfaction. "You did it, Ella," he said, his voice filled with pride. "You changed your people's hearts, not by force, but with kindness." Ella smiled. "Not alone," she said. "It was all of us. The people, the outsiders, you. Everyone played a part." Just then, Elder Voran approached. The elder who had once doubted her now walked with a newfound respect. He stopped before Ella and gave a deep bow, something he had never done before. "Princess," he said, his voice steady but humbled, "I was wrong to doubt you. I believed strength came only from tradition, from force. But you have shown us a different kind of strength, one that comes from wisdom, patience, and unity. Today I bow to you, not just as our princess, but as the leader Xiphoria needed." Gasps rippled through the crowd. The elders of Xiphoria had always been the highest voices of authority, yet here stood one of their strongest, bowing before a princess who had once been overlooked. Ella took a deep breath. She could feel the eyes of her people on her, waiting for her response. But there was no pride in her heart, only gratitude. She reached forward and gently took Elder Voran's hands, lifting him up. "There is no need to bow," she said warmly. "We stand as equals. Today, we are not divided by old ways or fears. Today, we stand together as one people." The elder nodded, and slowly, the rest of the council members stepped forward, one by one, offering their respect to Ella. The celebration lasted long into the night. The riverbank became a place of joy, filled with music, food, and laughter. Xiphorians and outsiders shared stories, exchanged knowledge, and built friendships that had once seemed impossible. It was no longer a kingdom of fear. It was a land of unity. As the stars twinkled above, Ella and Captain Alex sat by a small fire, their faces lit by its warm glow. The night air was cool, but the feeling in Ella's heart was warm. "You'll be remembered for this," Alex said. "One day, when they tell stories of Xiphoria, they won't speak of war or division. They'll speak of a princess who changed everything." Ella chuckled softly. "That's not what I wanted," she admitted. "I only wanted to do what was right, to show that kindness is not weakness." "And you did," Alex said. "You showed them that leadership is not about commanding. It's about inspiring." Ella looked toward the river, her thoughts drifting. "Will you stay, Alex?" she asked after a moment. The human explorer sighed, rubbing the back of his neck. "I would love to," he said honestly, "but I have other places to explore, other worlds that might need a little help, just like Xiphoria did." Ella nodded, though she felt a small sadness in her heart. "I understand," she said, "but I will always be grateful for everything you taught me." Captain Alex smiled. "And I'll always be proud of you, Princess Ella." The next morning, as the sun rose over the horizon, the people of Xiphoria gathered once more to bid farewell to the human who had helped change their world. Ella stood at the front, watching as Alex prepared his ship for departure. Before stepping inside, he turned to her one last time. "Remember, Ella," he said, his voice gentle but firm. "The path you've chosen won't always be easy. There will be challenges, doubts, but never forget why you started. Never forget what you believe in." Ella smiled, her heart steady with determination. "I won't," she promised. With a final nod, Captain Alex stepped into his ship. The engines hummed to life, and slowly the ship lifted into the sky, leaving behind the peaceful kingdom of Xiphoria. As Ella watched the ship disappear into the horizon, she knew that this was not the end of the journey. It was only the beginning. She turned back to her people, her kingdom, her home. A new dawn had come to Xiphoria, and in its light, the little princess who was once overlooked now stood as a true leader, one who had chosen kindness over fear, unity over division, and a future filled with hope.